Hi everyone, I am Rejoice on Umatta Consulting Podcast. Today we have the special privilege of speaking with Siri. Siri is the Vice President of U.S. Global Technology Operations at CGI. And I would love for her to introduce herself as she sees fit as well. And we'll dive right into the questions. Siri, the mic is yours, please.
Joyce, and thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It is my first podcast, so unique experience for me. And thanks for the invitation again. And as you said, I work for CGI. I lead the production management and system operations, the PMSO group, which is CGI lingo for what we call infrastructure and operations in industry standard. Um, My preferred name is Siri Swahari. I go by Siri all the time, but don't complain if your iPhone responds first before I could. I do keep reminding folks, I came first. I am the original and I'm much more effective. Trust me on that.
Yes.
So yeah, at CGI, I manage infrastructure and operations. It's more like a shared services powerhouse. So anything and everything under infrastructure like data centers, network, storage, etc. And from operations, incident management, operations, disaster recovery, business continuity, help desk, and user services, asset management, they all are part of PMSO. And while it might seem a really wide responsibility, I do have to give a shout out to my incredible team. I really have an exceptional team. And because of them, everything seems plausible. And it's also a very truly rewarding experience.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing or giving us a background of your work and also for recognizing your team. I think that is super cool. Our first question for you: what inspired you to become Vice President of US Global Technology Operations at CGI?
So it's never about the title. My goal was never to be a vice president. It was my mindset always to see and address the problems. And I never stayed in my lane, or I don't even now believe in the concept of silos. If I see a problem that can be addressed, whether it falls under my purview or not, I always speak up, I always act on it. And I think I work also in a great company where, people first culture is ever present. And I had great leaders who identified that and they always challenged me. After some time, it was always like, hey, if there is a major problem, let's get Siri on the call. And to look at it with a different perspective, or, especially to turn complexity into clarity. I, I have that knack. And I think that eventually led me on my path as vice president. And I hope it continues further. Fingers crossed.
I think that is really great that you expand on problem solving skills in your role and being the person, the go to person whenever people sort of identified a problem. And it wasn't really about the title, as you mentioned. And it just sounds, it flows naturally for you. How would you define the role of share services in today's enterprise organization?
So today it is no longer the old legacy style of cost saving centers. Uh, it is all more strategy driven. Uh, they, they are actually now accelerators to ensure the strategy really meets the execution. For example, in olden days, just imagine a call center. There is a problem. Pick up the call, address it, help desk, support, and such. But now it is like, imagine like a mission control. You have dashboards, you have predictive analytics, and you have automation and intelligent systems built in, and which plays a crucial role in ensuring that we are much more successful and much more efficient on all the planned strategy executions.
Very true. Very true. Especially in the age that we're in now, predictive analysis are super important to businesses and the bottom line for service engagement and being able to see the data to make decisions is effective for organizations. How would you align shared services with broader business vision and long term organizational strategy?
It all starts at the crux at the initial, what you refer as end to end. Paid services used to be delivery, it used to be the end tail of that initiative. And the one change that would influence and make shared services delivery much more efficient is to embed them along at the planning stage of the process. So, as if you know what the delivery roadmaps are, and you ensure your delivery teams are capable of supporting that, know what is coming our way, prep the infrastructure, prep the team to be able to support that, then it is going to be definitely something that would be a long term success strategy.
Very good. Interesting. Very interesting. And I
Well,
guess go.
yeah, and just to add to that, it's something that I'm not just quoting. We experienced it firsthand. So most of my career, I've been on the tech side of the industry, either as a hands-on individual contributor working on the technical side of the house or managing core technical teams. A few years ago, I was given a challenge. My boss asked me to interview for a role which is purely non-technical. It's purely working with client facing from a business perspective, where there were many of my reports at the time, none of them were technical, true technical in that sense.
Yeah.
And it did made me wonder because I never had experience on that, but also, I have to thank them, my old boss, my new boss, who challenged me to take on that interview and gave me the opportunity to go and see, if the grass is greener on the other side, what's
Right.
happening on the other side. Because as a delivery team, as a shared services team, we always support what was decided. But
Mm,
now I got a chance to see how we can influence how we deliver. And that experience played a crucial role. That experience paved the path to, enable more collaboration, cross team, cross functional collaboration, um, especially when during the strategy decision making meetings and such. I was able to be the voice of reason, how it would influence when it comes
hmm.
to delivery. I was able to influence and made sure that we had representation from the delivery team at the start of the solution, not at the end. And all those changes made incredible difference in how we support and how efficient we became. So I think
Very
that
interesting.
answers that.
Very interesting. Very interesting. You're hitting something that's very interesting to me. It sounds like cross-functional experience allows you to grow further in your career
Yeah. Yeah.
and see where the problems arise. Very true. Very true. I guess what key factors determine whether shared services models will succeed or struggle?
So for something so technological, the answer is purely culture, nothing to do with technology. Um, a model's success or failure depends on how you communicate to your partners, how you work with, how you build trust. It's not authority that comes into play, it's trust. How you communicate your purpose, your vision, get the necessary buy in. And of course, there are going to be roadblocks. It is never going, anything worth achieving is never going to be easy. So there is definitely going to be some setbacks, but that's the beauty of such is, you gain so much more. I always feel like, you learn more from firefighting than reading about firefighting in a manual. Doing it actually, you will understand Oh, I missed this. Oh, I can do this better. Oh, maybe if we do this ahead, we could have prevented what happened and such. And I think um, being that stabilizing presence when things go wrong, but believing in the purpose and understanding the strategy, that will eventually determine, how we would succeed.
Very true. Very true. Culture is so important. Sometimes it's underestimated, but there's so much value in having a really good culture that sort of meets their mission and so forth. We know you're working in a global environment, and we are curious to find out from you scaling shared services across global teams. They sound like a very big challenge for most people that are not in that environment. How would you approach scaling without losing agility or quality?
Funny that you asked me that question because I think that is the first challenge I faced in CGI more than a decade ago. So working with global teams is not new to me, and I guess it won't be new to anyone working in the IT structure. We
Right.
have become so global in the sense I worked with teams in Switzerland, Europe, India, and whatnot. But when I came to CGI, they were facing a challenge. They were trying to integrate uh, our APAC team to support the US team. And that is the first of its kind within the GTO unit. I know there are other units that have already succeeded in there, but um, so I wasn't hired for that. I was hired for a technical role. But my manager knew that, I had this experience in the past at a different organization. So he gave that to me as a challenge. Say, Siri, I mean, this has been going on for almost 8 months without any success. Can you take a stab at it and see how it can become efficient? And what I realized is um, it's all about, again, people, trust, empowerment. Our team was doing everything right by the book, trying to get that integration going. But sometimes delegation is the key.
Mm,
And this is where the Marvel geek in me shows up. I mean, I love this Spider-Man dialogue. Um, I think I should actually credit the author Stan Lee for that. There is that dialogue where I think his uncle tells Spider-Man, like, with great power comes great responsibility.
yes.
And I believe that it is vice versa too. If you are giving someone a responsibility, you also need to empower them to be able to do that. I don't believe in the concept of micromanaging. I believe, I trust my team that they know how to do better. And I also encourage them to try, even if there is a chance of failure, because if they fail, I will own it. I'll be the face of failure. If we succeed, they'll be the face of success. And the communication, the fostering the two-way communication feedback loop made a difference. Empowering, delegating instead of US and US handing off to APAC, we made sure US and APAC are working together towards the same common cause. And that change in culture, that mindset change reflected in a huge success. It helped turn down call volume, improved our profit margin, improved the member satisfaction and client satisfaction. And eventually, when your members are happy, your clients are happy, obviously your shareholders will be happy because, it is
Yes.
reflected in how our stock performs or how our business unit results are. So uh, I think that that in a nutshell is what I would endorse uh, as a success factor when working with global teams.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting. So, Siri, I want to understand a little bit more. Why don't you believe in micromanaging?
Oh, it is the first step for failure. Uh, the thing is, I think it is intrinsic human nature, right? If someone trusts you, you would like to do more and achieve more. If you are micromanaged, I won't say the work don't get done. It will get done, but you will get the bare minimum done. You're not challenging your folks. You're not letting them reach their potential.
Mm,
And sometimes as a leader, in order to help your member reach their potential, you should allow them a opportunity to try, even if they are scared. I think I read this quote somewhere. One of my CJ colleagues, she shared it somewhere. Like, if you're not scared, uh, uh, trying to recall exactly what she actually said, but in a nutshell, the meaning is like, if it feels scary,
Yes.
then you're going to gain so much more out of
Mm,
it than something that you can do as, a routine task. Yeah. So, I mean, I believe in that philosophy, and sometimes we need to be that helpful mentor, nurture our team's potential, and make sure they can reach their, true potential.
exactly. Exactly. I like that. I like that. You sort of giving them the wings to fly, and if there's a mistake, they have you to also support
Yeah.
and
I
so
mean,
forth.
that's the other analogy. Like, don't give them a fish, teach them how to fish.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they will
Exactly.
succeed. I mean, I wish they will succeed in their life, no matter where they end up. I mean, I would, of course, want them to be with CJ all the time, but I myself have, offered positions to my members to in other teams when I see that they have an opportunity for growth. Because in the end, member growth, what is good for them is more important as a
Hmm.
member manager than anything else. And
Exactly.
as a team, we would always succeed.
Right. Exactly. Thank you so much, Siri. So I also heard you saying multiple times that your manager sort of encouraged you to take on new challenge. I'm just curious from your angle, was there a time where you resisted or you accepted automatically, even though you were nervous or scared about the challenge?
Yeah, I never resisted. I've been always like, I was always ready for challenge. I think as a kid, I took on way unnecessary challenge. I mean, sometimes I think back, I don't know how naive or how stupid and dumb I was to take on challenges like jumping off like a 15 feet rock and stand still without even. I always love challenges. I am wired that way. But I understand why you asked that question. It's not about me in general. I mean, it is about how a person who might be hesitant to take on a challenge. So, one way I can say is if you are a mentor and if you want your mentee or your member to take on a challenge, give them the support they need to get there. If they are worried, let them know you're there to ensure they won't fail, that you are there to come for guidance or advice anytime. And I'm still there. I mean, I still have members who I supported like 15 years ago who still ping me from time to time on LinkedIn asking, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how would you deal with this? Like, is this good for me? Or am I doing the right thing? And I absolutely love those interactions because, again, the human factor is what makes all the difference, right? Work is only part of life. Work is not life. And
Exactly.
a statement that I keep echoing so many times. I'm pretty sure my team is just bored hearing about it, but that is again another lessons learned that I learned personally the hard way. um, I come from a culture where I used to think if I back off, if I didn't take on a challenge, or if I was like if I say no to something, I don't know something, I used to think it would be perceived as a sign of weakness. And
Mm,
in a way, it turned out in unfortunate, it snowballed into a position where anytime there is a problem, anything there is complexity, or anytime there is a major issue, it used to fall in my lap, which I used to do it without complaint. Because the other thing is it takes a lot to be in infrastructure and operations, and this is not with CGI in a prior role. And it takes a certain kind of mindset to be here. We enjoy that adrenaline rush. We enjoy solving challenging problems and finding solutions. But the lesson that I personally learned is you have to do that while valuing your health and family always come first. And I kind of put my health on a back seat at that time. I ended up with serious health issues, and which was my wake up call. which was when I realized, hey, I mean, obviously in this day and age, we should not be quoting work-life balance because
Right.
it's a myth. Work-life balance doesn't exist. Work-life integration, of course, that does.
Right.
And how you manage, how you prioritize, how you handle your routine. Obviously, if there is something critical that's going on, I wouldn't I wouldn't say no to it because, I have to go and watch a movie or I have to go to my gym session or what, or something personal. I mean, at that time, work takes priority. But when things settle down, I should take space for myself. And this is what I coach my team. Take space for yourself, recover, bounce so that you are ready for the next challenge, which
Exactly.
you would enjoy. And
Ex-
that is the real way of work life integration.
mm.
There is no 9 to 5 work and afterwards personal life kind of, at least in infrastructure and operations, uh, the concept does not uh, really work well.
The work life integration. And I'm actually very curious to find out from you how important is technology and automation when scaling shared service operation?
Gosh, it is the foundation. It is the true foundation, especially for shared services, because as long as you automate the repetitive, mundane tasks and have the humans focus on innovation,
Mhm.
learning new technologies, and they would feel inspired. For anyone, no matter how senior or junior they are, doing a repetitive task daily kind of becomes monotone. And that is something that should be handed off to automation. Uh, any person, whether introvert or extrovert, no matter what role they are in, a consultant or in management, everyone would benefit uh, by thinking innovatively.
Mm.
It not only beneficial for them, it is also beneficial for the ecosystem that they work in, the company, the team that they are part of, and it is also something that will give them ultimate satisfaction than doing the repetitive tasks.
Very true. Very true. I guess let's connect it to measuring success. How do you measure success in a shared environment today? And I guess how has that changed from 5 or 10 years ago?
A lot. You picked some good questions, Rejoice. I have to give you that. So, in the past, measuring success is all about measuring activity, whereas the latest and greatest is it's more uh, in tune with how a human success is measured. It's all outcome based. It is also an ecosystem collaboration based. um, to put it in layman terms, in the olden days, how many tickets you picked, how much
Mm.
ticket volume service desk had, used to be a measurement. But
Right.
now I'm happy and glad to see that it is outcome based.
Mm.
Based on the tickets that were addressed in that week, what's the member satisfaction?
Exactly.
Did we identify any opportunity which we can automate? Did any of this problem trigger a proactive solution that we can put in place, which would ensure the problem never repeats again? That is even
Exactly.
more crucial. We don't want people to fix the same thing over and over again, right? We should stop it from happening if we know there is a scope for it to happen in the first place. And yeah, the outcome based measurements, the KPIs, the feedback surveys, and such, and also a measure on how successful we are in meeting what the strategy was when
Hmm.
it came to execution. That correlation is another KPI that would add value to
I
measure
like
our
that.
success.
I like that. I like that. Value and time, right? Right now, what is valuable to you is what your time will be on. I wonder if you, I guess, what advice would you give companies that want to improve from transactional to more transformational shared services model?
So, or like I can say is it doesn't happen just because you have a mandate to change. It has to be a multi-pronged approach. The first two I can think of is like invest in technologies, but also invest in your people, invest in your leadership. Uh, you, we need to identify the problems that can be avoided with the transformational approach. Sometimes, it all comes with owning the problems that nobody is ready to go and solve. That
Exactly.
is the key thing. And it's just not always structural, it's not always technical. It is a cultural aspect as well. You need to build that trust, you need to communicate the purpose, you need to ensure that everyone understands why we are trying to transform and what the end goal is, and then it would definitely be a successful. It's like going from a flip phone to a smartphone.
Right.
And sometimes the resistance you would hear from folks, I have heard it several times. Why fix something that's not broken? We have been doing this. We already have this process. Why are we trying to change? And it is easy to fall into the trap, especially if you have been working for sometimes decades in that
Yes.
environment, because we think that is how things were. But the technology is rapidly improving day by day.
Hmm.
It used to be, compared to past, now I see exponential growth
Sure.
on how technology AI is picking up. And if we are not leveraging those and making our lives better, then we are not really, again, reaching our true potential as a team, as a company, as well as an individual member.
Actually, I love that you brought technology into your answer because I'm also curious to find out what trends are you seeing that will sort of shape the future of shared services for like the next 5 to 10 years based on the work you're doing.
The big word that you keep hearing everywhere in the past, at least in the past year, is AI. Everything is AI, AI, AI. But at the same time, I feel like we are not focusing on what we really want from AI. For AI to be successful, the data that we feed it to train it is crucial. But
Hmm.
having said that, once we focus on making sure we have a true data source, we have a human oversight committee, and everything that we need to put in place, ethics committee, for example. Once we have all that in place, I can definitely see AI, the predictive analytics, the shared services uh, becoming part of the customer experience feedback
Hmm.
flow. Those are the things I can see as trending in that direction in the coming years.
It's so amazing to sort of think like that into what the next 5 years will look like, the amount of streamline to the process,
Yeah,
the improvements. It sounds
yeah.
so exciting. If
It
you were
is.
to,
It is exciting, but it is also scary. Like I said, guardrails should be there. But in a nutshell, to answer, I would say shared services are becoming orchestrators. They used to be executors in the past. So shared services is orchestrators than executors in the coming years.
hmm, right, right, very true. If you were to design the ultimate shared services model for the future, what would that look like?
Oh, definitely cloud native. uh, Real-time data driven. And most important, it is driven by empowered teams. Like I said, its culture is as important. I mean, there is the culture eat strategy for breakfast. Whoever
Yes,
coined that, they were not wrong.
yes,
It is so true. So that it would be like a hub of excellence. Where automation is handled by AI or robots or bots, and innovation is handled by humans.
yes.
Relationships and innovation, those all fall under the human sector.
Very true. Very true. And I guess with all the knowledge experience you have, Siri, if you were to look back, what leadership lessons have you found to be most valuable in your journey, especially leading shared services?
Okay. The first thing, I mean, this lesson would fit both under my personal category as well as the leadership category of shared services. It's all about, my focus used to be always on perfection. We have
Hmm.
to be the best of the best. I have to be the best of the best, no compromise for second place, always like, the type A personality, which I still am. I mean, I have to be honest.
Yes.
But I have learned that the focus should be on excellence, not
Hmm.
perfection, because after a while, I mean, there was a post that I shared on LinkedIn once. It's a graph that I read somewhere. It's amazing how it was visually represented. The thought was visually represented in graphics by the gentleman. Can't recollect his name, but if you continue to just focus on perfection, your quality can erodes after a certain time frame. So you need to know when to when to compromise, where you are not taking a backseat, but you have a good result and you're focusing on the next problem rather than just sticking with the same problem. Uh, and I think that is a valuable lesson I
Mhm.
learned, and that is applied even in my shared services. How we automate. Sometimes instead of 100% automation, we have to be happy with 80% automation so that we can
Right.
divert our teams to do something else that is more important. The triaging is a daily thing that happens in our environment.
I truly love what you said, from perfection to excellent. That really resonated with me for all of the type A people out there. I think that was super, super nice to hear. What is one piece of advice you would offer to future leaders stepping into the world of enterprise operation?
I'll say be bold, but also be kind.
Hmm.
It has to be that balance. And it's never about the position, it is your presence that makes a difference. As long as you earn the trust and guide the team, even more important when you're guiding them in times of turbulence, which I can guarantee you, if you love roller coasters, you will always have ups and downs.
Yes.
But every team looks up to their leader for stability, especially in during turbulent times. If you can master that, incorporate empathy, kindness, and listening, it is a superpower, I'm telling you. Communication is not how we speak. Communication is all about how we listen, comprehend what the other person is saying. And
Hmm.
sometimes you find so many gems of
Very true.
wisdom
Mhm.
when you truly listen to understand, not listen to respond. That makes a ton of a difference. And operations, like I said, it's operations is like where strategy meets execution. So if a leader owns both of those, then mm, nothing can stop them. They will be the true winner of the game.
Limitless.
Limitless.
Strategy meets opportunity.
Yep.
Operations. I love it. I love that. I love that. Siri, our final question for you. What excites you the most about the future of shared services and its potential impact on organizations?
Like I said before, I think shared services is becoming like heartbeat of innovation. Um, it is like the perfect trifecta of people, the processes that we have, and purpose. And they converge together, bringing strategy to life. And that is what I am excited about, especially from a future perspective.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for so many germs you have offered us, wisdom, your experience, your background. And I can truly tell your team is where your passion is, inspiring your team, mentoring your team, and improving the services that you offer to your clients. We thank you. Siri, how should people connect with you if they would like to follow up with the amazing work your organization is doing, or your team is doing, or you're doing? What is the best way people listening today or watching should reach out to you?
I'm available on LinkedIn. Sirish, I can send you my link. It's Sirisha Swahari. But like I said, I go by Siri. Sirisha is what my mom calls me when I'm in trouble. So, so I keep telling her, like, you genetically wired me where someone calls me Sirisha. I mean, my heart jumps a beat. Like, did I mess up something? Did I do something wrong? So I am available on LinkedIn. And also, thank you for your kind words. And you absolutely said it right. I mean, I have a wonderful team. I also work for a wonderful company,
Yeah,
CGI.
yeah.
It's a very people centric company, which is why I think this is the longest I ever stayed in one place. I recently completed 10 years in my whole career, and spanning more than 2 decades. This is where I stayed the longest because of the culture. Here, clients are treated as equally important as members as well as our shareholders. Another perfect trifecta, which drives our day-to-day work life. The decisions we make, how we imbibe our core values. Respect is something that is very, very close to my heart, and it is one of CGS core values. So, uh, one of the reasons we are successful is because of this culture that I was mentioning earlier. And yeah, LinkedIn is the best way to reach out to me. And is there anything else you asked?
No, that's it. Thank you so much for your time. We're so thankful. It's been a pleasure to have this discussion with you. As you said, culture beats strategy for breakfast
Yeah.
anytime.
Not me. Someone else said. I don't think
Someone
that
just said,
gentleman or lady who coined that term. And also, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on a podcast. Like I said, it is my first time. And for someone whose mother tongue is not English, I was a little bit hesitant to take this challenge on. Uh, whether it is something that I wanted to do, something that will be permanently stored in the internet out there. But like I said, if something is not scary, then we are not really aiming high. So, I mean, I
exactly.
wanted to preach, I wanted to practice what I preached. I always tell my kids, my teams, my peers, challenge ourselves, go out of our comfort zone. And thank you, Rejoice, for giving me the opportunity to go out of my comfort zone and have my first podcast experience ever. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you for accepting the challenge. To all our listeners, make sure you subscribe, especially on Spotify if you're not a follower. Until next time, bye everyone.
Bye, Rejoice.